Like a vertical short video clip is what TikTok is what Instagram stories are. YouTube is now that.
Yeah, I mean, it is the discovery engine for finding new stuff. So yeah, I'm curious how this plays out. In this episode of Denoise, Netflix tests out a shorts feed and AI search.
Runway gets into animation with a cool short film.
And controlling ComfyUI with a gamepad. Let's get into it. Welcome back, Addy. Good to see you.
It's heating up here in LA.
The clouds have broken and it is now getting toasty.
Yeah, and we've got AI LA coming up. It's literally heating up.
Figuratively and literally.
Yes. So what do you got?
All right. So first thing on my radar was a couple updates from Netflix. And so one of these we talked about previously where they were debating or experimenting with rolling out ChatGPT in their search.
That's right. We covered that.
Yes. And so now it is officially in the beta. You have to opt into it, but it is in their beta. And so it is a new search feature. I believe it's just on the app. Currently not on like Apple TV or anything, but it is basically like a more conversational way to try to search for something to find something. So one of their examples is, I want something funny and upbeat, and then getting movie recommendations based on just conversational movies.
Yeah. Although Netflix has been really good at associations with search in the past. So like, let's say you are searching for a show like Star Wars. You type in Star Wars, it'll show up like Star Trek will show up.
Especially when it's like, we know we don't have this in our library, but we know what you're searching for.
Here's
but we'll
something
show similar things.
That is an original production, right?
Yeah.
So they have been really good about that. And I know that there is a large ML team in Los Gatos where headquarters is. So this makes no surprise. Like this.
Yeah, it feels like the movies already have this data around the movies. Because also they have that famous, 30,000 different like genres, niche genres. If you remember, there used to be there was like a hack where you could figure out the code to find all the different genres that was like, action movies from the 80s, like that take place in China or something.
Yeah. And there was also a hack to use a VPN to get around their geographic sort of categorizations as well. Yeah.
But did they crack down on that VPN hack? Or?
Not sure.
Having Gen AI search, it's a good way to help find stuff. And this has also been a big issue for Netflix throughout the years of just improving finding things that you want to watch at the right time that you want to watch them. I remember too, wasn't it a number of years ago, didn't they have like $1 million reward for someone who could develop like a better algorithm?
Really?
To recommend. I mean, this was like a while ago, like when they were first getting off the ground.
That makes sense, right? Because so much of their business and the sort of watch time comes from a good recommendation, right?
Yeah, of course. And finding the thing you want to find. And we mentioned that stat before that Ted Sarandos had mentioned on the earnings call where he was like top 1% of their content or the top 1% of like their most famous titles is still like 1% of the viewing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah. And there's just like such a massive library and an international library of content that there's just so many different things that people are interested in watching that, there's no one size fits all for.
Yeah, a massive library
watching
that they have is a double-edged sword. On one hand, you have every single conceivable genre and show kind of covered. On the other hand, good luck finding it.
Yeah, how do you surface that? How do you find it at the right time? I mean, I feel like the next thing from, a Gen AI search, because you still have to it's a bit active. You have to get on it. You got to kind of know what you're in the mood for.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the future is maybe like a Gen AI channel. Or not a Gen AI channel, a generative playlist channel where like Disney's been adding this.
Spotify has that. They have a DJ that is just
right. You're
automatically recommending.
Hey Joey, welcome to I'm your Spotify DJ.
Hey Joey, welcome back, man. Today we've got hip hop from the 90s.
I'm mixing things up for you.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Maybe not as annoying, but certainly.
Right. So that is with songs. Something that sort of feels like it's already on. So like Disney Plus has been doing this where they've had. I mean, we're basically like reverting back to cable TV with channels, but just like channels that are just, a movie's playing where, I mean, this was a better experience, not a better experience, but it's a different experience in the 90s and early 2000s when you're on cable and you're like, I don't really know what I want to watch and just channel surfing. And then you're mid-play of a movie and then you just leave it on because it's already playing.
Yep.
I'm thinking, the next phase of like Netflix is a generative channels based on your interest, but it's like already playing. It's
For sure.
It's customized to you and your interest.
They do that with the kids accounts a little bit. The kids accounts are obviously, because they're kids, you want to be careful about what they watch and also fine tune, no pun intended, what they watch. They have a more like specific algorithmic output. And then the cool thing about the kids channels is the parents will get a report every other week on what their kids watch and what the big categories are. So one of my girls, she loves to watch stuff that's about bravery and about courage. And you're like, oh, that's interesting underlying theme on all the stuff she watches.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool to know.
Yeah.
Do they tell you if they tried to search for anything, like what they searched for?
So the kids, when you go into a kid's account, it's very much restricted, kind of like YouTube Kids. Like you can't really get terrible content out at that point.
Yeah, but if you tried to search for it, like your kids tried to search for Chucky.
Red flag.
They're looking for Psycho. They heard about that. That's cool. That's interesting. Yeah, with the channel thing, I'm thinking back to the like 90s and stuff. I'm thinking like I've probably seen the actual beginning of Terminator 2 maybe like once or twice. But I've seen I've seen so much of the second half of that movie, like a million times, but I've like maybe seen the beginning a few times.
Where he walks into a bar, grabs the clothes from the guy, and walks in naked.
I've maybe seen that a few times, but it's like, the river scene and the bus chase and like, sinking into the pit of lava. Like I've seen that a million times.
Yeah.
But because, I'd always catch it on like TNT or something. And so like, I've seen the second half of that movie a million times, but maybe the beginning once or twice.
Yeah. That's an awesome example.
Yeah. That's the nature of when we're just catching stuff on cable. And so the other interesting thing with the Netflix update is they are pushing into a vertical feed, short clips. And
very useful, very relevant to today's media landscape.
Yeah. And so this is not UGC type stuff. This is short clips from their shows, more as a discovery engine. But I think this is really smart because there are a number of times that I've been on TikTok or wherever, and I see it's not the studios that are putting them out, or maybe they're secretly putting them out, but it's like a scene from a movie is playing and you're like, you kind of get sucked into it.
10-second bite.
It's like, one of the good dramatic scenes, and it's like, oh, interesting. And then it cuts to like a montage of like shots from the movie, and they don't even tell you what the movie is. You like go in the comments and people are like, what movie is it? What is this? And then someone comments like, it's this movie on this streaming platform. So
it's almost like an automatically generated trailer that's vertical.
Yeah, it's like a trailer, but not, it's more like a clip, or sort of like if you're on Netflix too and you scroll past the titles and then you like let it hover and then it starts playing like a clip from the film.
Right.
Like that, but in a vertical feed.
Yeah, I got to say, like at this scale with millions and millions of titles that they have, incredible feat in deploying this. Having said that, I hate to bring out Spotify again, but they have done this already, and it's, I think, a year or two into it, where if you go to like Kendrick Lamar's page, right, you'll see a bunch of shorts, and then you could swipe through each of the songs, and each of the songs is in a video format. It's a video, maybe it's the music video itself or some kind of visuals, and then when you like the song, you click on it, it goes and then plays the song.
Right. And I could see how that works. I feel like it makes more sense on Netflix because you're like, it's visual and you're like looking at visual stuff. And so you see a video clip and you're like, well, let me add it to my list or watch it now.
Yeah.
Spotify, it's like, I'm going to Spotify because I want to listen to something, not like scroll.
But that's the thing, like, because, we're on our phone so much.
Yeah.
And our screen time usage is so high. Like having that ability to scroll through visuals for a music product is
or a podcast product.
We put up shorts.
We have shorts up now. Yeah, we do now. But I mean, that was another reason why Spotify did such a big push into video podcasts and hosting the video podcast. Yeah. For this exact reason.
Yeah. But I will say, like, like a song is what, 3-4 minutes versus an episode is like 30, 40, 50 minutes. And like there is so much more data to churn through to create these shorts on the Netflix side.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot more discovery. And it makes sense. And, but seeing the vertical clips come to Netflix reminds me of the, ongoing conversation of like,
real shorts.
Not even that, but sort of that, I guess. But like the vertical soap operas. Yeah. But I was thinking more of just like, is Netflix going to become YouTube first or YouTube going to become Netflix first? And this like continuing ongoing battle between the two, where like they're the two dominant players for like most for screen time and owning screen time, especially on a TV.
I will say, I think that the line has already been drawn, and Netflix will never fully become YouTube and vice versa. Like they know their market, they know where their revenue is.
It's never going to be a full UGC. So there's always going to be, an acquisition or content wall.
But it's interesting that Netflix is sort of, tipping the hat to the format that is working for all of the other social media formats. Like a vertical short video clip is what TikTok is what Instagram stories are. YouTube is now that.
Yeah, I mean, it is the discovery engine for finding new stuff. So yeah, I'm curious how this plays out. I haven't updated my app. I don't know if I have it yet, but I'm curious too if they do special edits for these clips or if it's just going to be like, we took a clip and we just framed it for vertical. Also, their framing process, are they running this manually?
Maybe they bought the Quibi thing. The Quibi framing algorithm.
The Quibi tech ended up.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, like, are they running, using AI models to like track the faces to like auto reframe?
Yeah.
Or are they doing this by hand?
I mean, it would probably be cheaper to just have a farm of, artists in India somewhere and just pay them to get this done, at least for the initial rollout until they figure out what the automated process is.
I don't know. I think the automated stuff already exists. That's been something that's like been doable for a while, just track the face and just make sure the face just, stay center framed. Yeah.
And this is not new news, but Netflix's app, at least on iOS on my phone, has games and stuff built into it already.
Yeah. Yeah. The games are, I've used the games.
Yeah.
They're fun.
Yes. Exactly. Like they had
included.
I think I played the Squid game.
I haven't played that one yet.
Yeah.
I like the infinite run ones. They had a bowling one that was just like an infinite, like, bowling ball, like you have to jump it was like a speed run thing.
It's like Temple Run.
Yeah, it was like Temple Run with like bowling balls.
Awesome.
Yeah, Netflix has been doing that push into gaming.
Yeah.
That's always been a bit like, where's this going?
And now they have live events, and now like, what are they not doing?
A bit of sports, but sports is probably the next, sports and news.
Yeah. So on the flip side, on the competitor side, I think Amazon is like 2 steps ahead on the sports front. Like now they have, I think, NBA. They've already had an NFL, and now they have NHL and NBA, and so they're really pushing into that end.
Yeah, they've also built themselves into more of like a platform. As well, where it's like you can be on Amazon Prime, and Prime Video, but then also subscribe to other streaming services through the Amazon hub, like subscribe to Stars or Paramount Plus through Amazon. So it's kind of interesting, more of like a hub for like engaging with other streaming services.
For sure. And then finally, I think we covered this as well. Netflix's Tudum, which is their UGC platform where a lot of like show fandom exists.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's potential there to have a YouTube like creator output.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a bunch of YouTube channels around
without utilizing YouTube.
Well, what do you mean?
So like if somebody is a huge fan of Squid Game, right, and they just want to make a review for each episode as it comes out, they have to now put it on YouTube.
Right.
But what if they were able to put it on Tudum?
Like more of like an in-house kind of like Tudum creator.
Yeah, so it goes back to like do you remember when Chernobyl came out on HBO?
Yeah, they had the official podcast.
Yes, and that was so successful.
They do that for pretty much all of the shows now.
And that was the first show that was piloted with. Yeah, and it did so well.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that was when you mentioned this, that's what that reminded me of, because like pretty much all the HBO shows now have a dedicated podcast. Right. And it's like usually it's someone that was like had a separate fan channel or something paired with, I don't know, some other like podcast producer, and then they like bring on
there's so much stuff. There's just so much you're leaving on the table if you're not extracting out of that IP like a podcast or other things, because that's all engagement numbers.
Yeah, the same reason why there's like the behind the scenes stuff afterwards. It's like, you have your, about a lot of people just watch the show and that's it. But then you have like, your bigger fans where it's like you watch the show and it's like, I want to process that, or I want to like learn more about that, or dive deeper into that.
Buy the toys.
Yeah, and this is just another way to kind of further that engagement. Yeah. And a podcast is pretty low lift. And if it was a YouTube video, like that'd be pretty low lift. And I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious if that made sense to build out some sort of extra streaming thing on Tudum, or I feel like all roads lead to like you throw it on YouTube because for the pure discovery aspect. Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you? Because you want that top of funnel discovery aspect to get more people finding out about the thing and get them on your platform and watching the actual show.
The only reason for putting it on Tudum, a very good reason, is you could insert ads into those UGC stuff and then just make money that you would otherwise not make from YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. Next up, interesting stuff with Runway.
Yeah. Runway killing it lately after the Gen 4 release and Cristobal's latest sort of speculative audio tool there, where you just kind of tell the AI engine what to do, bring me a building, bring me a sky, and it just kind of does it for you. So they're really thinking in terms of how M&E would use it. And the latest from them is animated series. It's called Mars and Civ, and we'll play it back for you here. The first thing you'll notice is that this is very stylized. This is obviously like a film noir in the way that the story unfolds and in the mood.
It has a very like kind of the hand-drawn animation vibe.
Visually it has a hand-drawn animation vibe, very much like a 2D look. And these are things that you generally don't associate with AI, right? AI outputs typically Pixar style, 3D.
If you prompt it Pixar style.
Right. But that's what most people do.
You think you associate it with an existing style already.
It's style that you know for sure is going to be output correctly. So in this instance here, I'm sure there was a big post process and an additional process on top of the generation, right?
Yeah, so they have a nice interview, in-depth blog post. And so it seems like it's from Runway AI, their studio arm, which has been tied in, but it's sort of a separate thing where it's like to produce content and use Runway for like producing professional content.
That seems like a fun department in Runway.
So with the creators, it seems like, and they have images, everything was hand-drawn storyboards, and then it seems like the bulk of the process was hand-drawn locations, frames of characters, hand-drawing the elements, and then combining the elements in Runway, creating the first frames, and sending it to Runway, and then using Runway for that in-between animation, which is stuff we've talked about.
Well, you know me, I'm an animation fan. And when I saw this, like other than a few technical things, I thought this was really effective and it really worked. Where I think a traditional animated thing would really differ from this is there would be a lot more set pieces, a lot more complexity in each of the shots. Where here it's just, background character. And I think this is a good step. They were probably focusing more on lip sync, character animation for some of the Runway work, and then just compositing everything in post. That's my guess.
Well, because Runway did have the whole the Act 1 which was putting a character and taking a human performance and being able to like match the emotions and stuff. It doesn't seem like they use that at all for this. Yeah,
there is a tool called Adobe Character Animator. I think they renamed it to Adobe Animate now.
Yeah,
that does really good lip sync off of like a iPhone camera.
You rig up your animated character and then it'll like sync with your iPhone as a face capture.
So that could be like, this is exactly how we envision.
It's all just tools, and it's like there's no one quick fix tool for this. It's just tools to speed up the process.
Yeah, that's how movies get made. There is no, magic silver bullet. It's just, what do you need to do? Let's do it with this thing, move on, do it with that thing, and go on.
Yeah, and this is a great example too, because they're like hand drawing elements. They're compositing it in probably just traditional compositing software, and then they're using Runway to speed up the in-between process and like bring, animate the actual shots. Yeah,
the last time we saw a short film out of one of the big AI companies was, do you remember when OpenAI released that balloon head thing with Sora?
Yeah, Airhead.
Yeah. So I think there was a big article on it after it came out that said something like 1 out of 300 or 1 out of 3,000 shots was used. Like it was a large number of generations.
It was also heavily composited.
Yeah.
It would be like, they'd get one element out of one shot, another element out of another shot. And and that was sort of, especially last year in 2024, that seemed to be the common way to make something that looked realistic,
like just like toss the dice many times,
and then get the elements you want and composite it. And it was like After Effects seemed to be the like glue for so many AI generated shorts that were of a high enough quality that looked professional caliber. And most of these were created from media professionals who like work in VFX or animation, and so they know what they need to get, and it just turned into using generative AI to just get the elements out of it that you need and compositing it later. Yeah,
really, I'm really surprised at the level of output and also the stylization and the creativity that went into it. It gives me a lot of courage that, AI is not gonna ruin everything, if you
No,
will,
it's
in
just like
M&E.
you like use it, correctly. It can just help you do more. And
Exactly.
For budgets where it just might be cost prohibitive
Yeah.
for something like this to exist. Yeah, I mean, we talked about before recording, like this reminds me of the Cartoon Network stuff, like Dexter's Lab and stuff before in the 90s.
Like classic Adult Swim, Cartoon Network.
Yeah. And I'd be curious, like, I don't really know much about the making of process from those, like how big the teams were and like what the time frame was to make those and how that would compare with something like this.
Yeah, I think I remember reading into that a little bit. This is like a decade ago. Those were big teams. Yeah, so Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, and
I remember Family Guy. I mean, basically similar process with how they're using Runway. They would do the keyframes here in the States and like write the
send it
scripts.
to Korea, right?
I think it was India.
Okay.
Because also, if you looked at the names, it was like very
Indian names
in the credits, and they would do the in-betweens. And so it's AI now.
That's the thing. Now AI is so good at in-betweens, right?
Yeah,
You give it first frame, last frame.
And middle frame, which, Gen 3 can do. So, I mean, this is a great example of, combining human creativity, and having originality, but using AI to speed things up and make a film that, potentially would not be possible otherwise.
100%. It still doesn't take away from the fact that you need a human storyteller with genuine creative idea.
And creativity. Yeah. All right. Next up.
So new news on ComfyUI.
Yeah. What do we got?
So look, ComfyUI is this ever-pervasive tool. We've seen people at the AI hackathon use it. Heck, I run it on my computer here on a very slow GPU.
Yeah, when you want the most control out of your AI outputs and what you're doing with it, all roads lead to ComfyUI.
Exactly. And you're not just limited to your own, crappy GPU. You can connect ComfyUI to AWS or wherever and access a bunch of different, high-powered GPUs.
Or run it off a cloud instance.
Or just run it off a virtual machine in the cloud. But it is like the most common language and the most common tool for AI builders today. I could definitely confirm that, even within the walls of AI manufacturers, they're using ComfyUI.
Yeah.
To prototype things and sometimes to deploy custom solutions and so on. So ComfyUI is a node-based tool, but it's still not very user-friendly. So looks like you found something that's really interesting here.
Yeah. So this ties into another thing we talked about of the lack of input or control in controlling AI outputs and using more traditional methods than like text prompts. So it seems like someone built a controller where you could use a game controller to control poses of characters generated in ComfyUI.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So in the quick video demo, they're showing with they're running ComfyUI and they're using this a gamepad controller, and hitting some buttons, and it's like they're creating a character. And it seems relatively in real time. They're like hitting the button to the right and it's changing the pose in the face to the left, to the right. So it's a good indicator. I mean, what I would love to see is doing this with a camera in a 3D space. But this is like in that right direction of just like a relatively real time way to control an AI output with something that's more intuitive than a keyboard, a game controller.
Yeah, my 3D brain instantly goes to, well, why not? Like that woman's face, why couldn't it be a 3D character and then the controller just controls the rotation of the head? And then you take that...
or if you can orbit around her.
Right? And then take that feed and do a neural rendering pass in Comfy.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah,
you know more about Comfy than me, too. You should download this and let me know.
I'll definitely download it if it's available. Oh, that's the other thing. For those of you who have not messed around with Comfy yet, Comfy runs on what it calls workflows, which are just a giant text file, typically JSON files. So if you see a workflow you like, you can download it, load it, and that loads up all the nodes and all the connections to the nodes. All you have to do next is then load each specific nodes with the right models or the right... Yeah,
that's where I always hit issues.
So Comfy now has a feature called install missing nodes.
Yeah, that also hits hit or miss.
But it's like it's almost there for like the average
It's getting
Joe.
there, I see a McMuppets tutorial and I'm like, I want that. And then I download it and I install the JSON file and then it's like, load missing models. And then it's like, can't find this one.
And I've noticed that a lot of creators hide that under the Patreon page. So you have to pay and to get access to it.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah. I paid him. I still want I subscribed to McMuppets. I wanted the advanced nodes. But yeah, talking to JD and Skylar, who run a Playbook, and they've been doing a lot of stuff with Comfy, and they have a cloud Comfy instance where you can load their models and run on the cloud, so you don't have to have a PC or a beefy machine. And we've talked about this, and it's like, they're like, yeah, that's like when people bring in workflows, that's like the number one thing that breaks is like just finding the models that the person who built the original workflow has, and then reconnecting them properly is like just the kind of basic, but like the easiest part where just stuff falls apart. When
and
like,
also like the models are so specific, like you can't just drop
in the version of the model.
Because some of them are going to output float 0.8, some of them are going to output float 0.16, and if you mix up the two, then everything down chain is messed up.
Breaks it all. Yeah. So I don't know the name of developers behind this, but the website company that developed it is vrch.ai, vrch.ai. So I just want to give them a shout out. But yeah, this was on a Reddit post, and so we'll link to it in the show notes. But yeah, I mean, this reminds me too of the hackathon I covered with Rob Legato, who is now at Stability as a creative
chief pipeline architect.
Right. And this was his number one request too, where it's just like, give me the controls that I'm used to. To operate in this AI space.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, so what do you think, in order to like get to the point where we're talking about like, let's generate a world and like move through it in real time or relative real time, like what else has to happen?
It's happened already. It just hasn't happened at a consumer ComfyUI level. So if you look at startups like In-World AI, that's exactly what they're doing. They're building a game engine that is rendering neurally. Okay, so you can take traditional, controls like a D-pad and just walk through this world.
I guess that ties into like that the Doom, the generative Doom game world that they built, where you just keep infinitely walking through Doom and it just generates it in real time.
Yep. Look, having the capability aside, I think just the notion of having human interface devices like a keyboard or a D-pad or whatever into something as complex as ComfyUI, that in itself is encouraging. That means that this is a barrier that is very soon going to be crossed, and somebody like Rob Legato or myself or you can easily control all of these complex nodes easily.
And then also being able to save. I'm thinking too, that's the other issue of like, you're moving, you're navigating, maybe you're changing stuff, but then making sure you're able to like save it and it's persistent.
So then the model, it needs to be spatially aware and have location tracking or some kind of coordinate system in it, which doesn't really lend itself to how a neural network actually computes it. Like it's not like a traditional.
Is the neural network remembering anything, or is it just generating and then?
So memory is tricky in a neural network. It'll, when it's trained on like a trillion images, it has quote unquote memory of like a cat, a dog, a human, a tree, and individual things, right? And you wouldn't even really call it memory. It has like a part of the neural network attached to that association of that idea. So when you prompt it, what the prompt does is it will, and this is where attention comes in. So you say, I want a cat on a tree.
Yeah.
And it'll figure out, I need more attention on the tree. That is the thing that the cat needs to be on. So secondary attention on cat. It'll go find in its memory what a tree looks like, what a cat looks like. And then it'll put those two things together based on what it was trained to be a realistic image. So if you're really thinking about how a neural network computes it, it's nothing like what we're actually used to. So how do you actually build in a system with coordinates and 3D spatial awareness?
Yeah. Or I'm thinking if I'm generating a space with like the cat in the tree in a garden, and then I'm like navigating my camera and I pan to the left away from the cat in the tree. When I pan back, I want to make sure I see the same cat and tree that I just saw before, and it's not like regenerated.
Yeah, so that would have to be built into like a reference add-on, like a fine-tune of a reference of that tree. But if you think about it, then you need it for every single object that's in the scene to be consistent when you put the camera back in.
Yeah.
So it's a tough problem to solve. But having said that, we're just in such an early stage of all of this that I think it will be solved.
Yeah.
It's like the early days of compute when we couldn't figure out that our computers will one day have 24 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
We're running 16 kilobytes of RAM. We're like, there's no way silicon could be packed that densely in to have that much memory.
Yeah, I was in San Diego over the weekend, and I took the tour of the USS Midway, which is like a decommissioned aircraft carrier.
Been there.
And fun tour, cool to walk around. But they had their like computer room or their like radar room.
Yeah.
And it was what was the one of the original computers?
Yeah, so I think the USS Midway is like World War II era.
It was, but I mean they didn't update it because it operated in the first Gulf War.
Oh, okay.
So they did.
So like floppies.
But this was I don't know what era they were gathering I think they gathered stuff over its operation over the years.
Yeah.
But it was UNIVAC. It was a UNIVAC computer that was like a massive, huge cabinet, and it had like 32 kilobytes of data of storage.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, off topic, but I heard that this is one of the main reasons why our ICBMs, all the nuclear missiles in silos, are more or less like useless or close to being useless, is because they're running on ancient machines and they don't connect to the modern day internet and none of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like our FAA.
Yeah.
Is that running on like Fortran or these older languages that haven't been updated in 50 years?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, all right, random note. But that reminded me of just, this was 50 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago.
So we're in that moment now. We're in the 32 kilobyte moment now.
Yeah.
We can't imagine
exactly
what this is going to be.
Yeah. All right. Good place to wrap it up.
Yep.
Links for everything we talked about in the show notes, and we'll link to the ComfyUI workflows if you want to mess around with it and let us know if how that works out for you, and if you found any cool controls of how to use AI with alternate controls. Always interested in that.
And if you're just new to the show and tuning in, guess what? We've been doing this for a while. There's over 30 episodes. Go back and watch the catalog. We cover all things AI, media, and entertainment tech. So see you soon.
Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next episode.